Positive Power 21.org Internet Radio.
Hi, my name is Jerry Royce, and welcome to Positive Power 21.org. Tonight on the show, we have Nicole Martin. She's an author. She released several publications in the last few years, and she's here to talk to you guys about it. And we're going to find out how her writing has affected people. And that's the bottom line when it comes to positive power. We just want to know how the positive forces and all the energy is helping people with their positive thinking to help push them to the next level. Hi, Nicole. Welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing fine, and we're so glad to have you on the show and talk about all this writing you've been doing all these years. So, what enticed you to be a writer?
I always wanted to be a writer. Ever since I was a little girl, and I used to love reading. I always picture myself being on the other side, the person, the author, and other people reading my books. So it was like a
Wow.
dream I've had since childhood.
Now, picking up this skill set. Now, is this a natural thing for you to write? I mean, because this is basically your storytelling.
Yep, I'm basically storytelling. I like to say that I consider my books a little different because I write about true life events, whether it's
Hmm.
happened to me or to someone, close to me. I base my all of my stories on the truth.
Okay. Now, your books all available on Amazon.com,
Yes, they're
and that's
available
under.
on Amazon and on several sites as well. Barnes and Noble, Smashwords, Books a Million, local bookstores, different bookstores throughout the United States. Yes.
Okay. Now, under Nicole Martin's name, you have Loving in the Attic, Poison. You said you have a short story and your mother's worst nightmare. So you released three publications.
Yes, I actually released three myself, which are self-published. And the third one you mentioned, the short story, it's called Deceived. And what I did was another big publishing company was actually looking for authors to for a anthology they put together called Almighty Dollar. And
Oh
I
wow,
submitted my story, and like about 2 weeks later, I got the acceptance letter.
wow,
Yeah.
cool. Now you being a self-published author. I mean, basically, you know, it's a lot to go into that because you're managing yourself. You're writing it. You're hiring people to put it all together. How much how much of what kind of team did you put together? I mean, what kind of support system did you have in place?
Well, of course, I do have family who supports me. I have friends who support me, neighbors, people I grew up with, and I've actually been building a really big database like throughout the social networking. I'm always promoting. I mean, I have like tons and tons of T-shirts and blouses and long sleeve sweatshirts. I've that
Ah,
tells everyone different slogans on it. Just so when like if I'm getting out the car and walking into an appointment or something, and somebody will read and say, "Oh, you're an author," and then that's the way I'll just start telling them about myself or about my books. I always keep my books with me, so I believe in
wow.
promoting 24/7.
That's right. So you hustling real hard, then you grinding it,
Yes.
huh?
And
Ain't
I
nothing
have a
wrong with
big
that.
family as well. I mean, my daughter, my fiance, they all support me. They all, they always talking to people about me and giving them out, my cards, a flyer, just something, letting them know about my book.
That's right. That's right. And that's a blessing. And Nicole, of course, I told you earlier that positive power is about, you know, positivity. People using their creativity for the good of man. Now, are your books for the good of man?
Yes, they are. Yes,
All right.
yes.
Tell us why. Tell us why.
Well, with my first book, my primary purpose of writing that book was that I could get a message out there about falling in love with someone that you really don't know much about and
Mm.
the places it can take you to. My first book is entitled Love in an Attic, and it's loosely based on my life and the things that I went through. Um,
Mhm.
I don't really want to tell the whole book, but it's like it basically tells the story of a woman who met and fell in love with a guy at first sight, and then she later found out things about him that if she would have taken her time and really got to know him, then
Mhm.
probably would have went in a different route. But she learned that he was on drugs and the ups and downs of
Wow.
his temper, everything she lost, just trying to just trying to love him and be there for him, and the ultimate damage it done to her as well. So it's like
Wow.
kind of like a lesson. And in all my books, I always try to put a lesson in them. And
Wow. Okay, so
yeah.
you're a little bit like Tyler Perry then.
Yes, yeah, I try to
Yeah.
be. I try to always put a positive message in my book.
Good. Yeah, you do. I mean, you need a message. I mean, people can laugh, they can cry, but they have to walk away with some kind of substance. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, okay, what about poison? What's the lesson there and the message?
The lesson in Poison, Poison is basically about a female who, she had a really rough background, a really rough bringing up. However, she, throughout her background, it took her through some places that she probably wouldn't have went had she not been raised the way that she was. But the positive message in it is like throughout her background, she still came out of it being a positive person, helping others. How can I say it without telling the book? Like
Well,
it
you
has
want them to buy it,
positive
right?
endings, huh?
I said you want them to buy it, right?
Yes.
Uh, yeah, I mean, sometimes people want to know a little something. You're just giving them a synopsis of the book, pretty much, where it's leading somebody.
Right.
Okay.
And you know what? Let me say this about Poison. Poison was by her name, what her name was, everybody judged her by that. And even with her mom telling her that the reason she got that name is because of, how she was conceived. And she always thought that's what she was. But ultimately, in the end, she found out that she wasn't. And then others around her found out that she was actually a good hearted, positive person.
Wow, wow. So there's definitely a happy ending there. But it's a lot. I mean, so there's a lot of twists and turns in your
Yes,
books.
it is. Yes, it is. And if you look Poison up, I mean, it's like I've gotten so much positive feedback about Poison. I get sales from Poison every single day. People like, wow, that book, I could not put it down. I was at
Mm.
work and I had to stick it underneath of my work because I couldn't stop reading it, and I didn't get no sleep
Now,
last night because I had to finish Poison. I get so much positive feedback from it.
wow, wow. And how about Mother's Worst Nightmare? What's the deal with that book?
Now, Mother's Worst Nightmare is actually my first total nonfiction book. Um, it's it tells a story about me, and I raised a child who was she was diagnosed at 3 years old with severe mental retardation and with
Mm.
epilepsy.
Oh
And the
wow.
nurse basically had told me that she probably wouldn't make it to her adult age, and
Oh wow.
but then as she went along, because at first they were like, well, she probably won't make it to the age of 5, and then she probably won't make it to the age of 7, and ultimately
Mm.
she passed away at the age of 12 from
Oh wow.
cancer. And it just kind of tells us the ups and downs and everything that I went through with raising her, and um, but it's like a lot of people think, oh wow, it sounds so sad, but it's not just a sad story. It's like it has
Mm.
a positive message in there. It's the bond between mother and child. The good
Yeah.
memories, and just every how people looked at her as, oh, she's, they just looked at her as being disabled or different or whatever. But she was
Mhm.
a very loving child, and I actually co-wrote that with another author. Her name is Chanel Williams, and
Uh huh.
she lost her son to leukemia.
Oh
And,
wow.
she has a story in there as well.
Wow. Now you sound kind of young, to have gone through a lot of this, this experiences. I mean, I mean, where are you in? I mean, without really giving your age number, I mean, like in your late 20s, early 30s,
I'm in mid 30s.
mid 30s. Okay, you sound real young. Cause looking at your picture, I thought you was around 26.
Really? Wow,
Yeah,
you
I really
good.
did.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
I get that a lot.
yeah. Black people we don't age.
Right.
So anyway, so I mean, it sounds like this book right here can probably help somebody who's going through it right now. Is that is that? Are those the people that you're finding? Is that your audience you're writing for right now, or was this book just kind of you just letting off some things off your chest?
Well, I would say kind of both, but the I would say um my primary purpose is to help others who, like you said, who are going through it now, who's went through it, who's in the early stages. I'm in a lot of groups on Facebook with grieving parents, grandparents, aunts,
Hmm.
uncles, and I get a lot of positive feedback from them. Like I read your book, and I really I'm so happy that I read it. I really got a glimpse of hope just from reading your book, and um, and that's the feedback that I was praying that I would get back. I haven't gotten any
Yeah.
immediate back from it yet.
Wow.
I'm
Now,
getting
are your
lucky.
books now are your books available on ebooks like Kindle and download to your smartphone?
Yes, yeah, my books are
Okay.
available. They're available on Kindle, on Nook, Smashwords, all of the ebook sites. The book is available.
Wow. Yeah, because I'm looking at Loving an Addict, and looked like it was. I guess you released it there in January 2012, and you have it in paperback, which is going for 630, and then you have the Kindle edition going for 99 cents. That's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Cause
yeah.
I
Smashwords
love reading.
actually put the prices of the Kindles down, and surprisingly, I've been doing good with sales, like a lot better with sales since I've taken the prices down. It's so many authors out here now, so you gotta stay competitive with other authors.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and the good thing about the Kindle, you can have so many people downloading your book overnight. You can wake up and say, "Wow, I sold 100 books in one night."
Yes,
This, that's crazy.
yes, and
And just,
I've done it. I mean, I've done it. And I've gotten to the point now. 'Cause when I first released my first book, I'm sure I don't know if you see like it was my first book, Love in the Attic, got mixed reviews. It was like some people
mm,
liked it, some people didn't, and
right.
it was my first review I ever got was a bad review, and I cried. I'm gonna be honest, I really cried. My
Uh
feelings was hurt,
but
but
sometimes those bad reviews kind of help you out, don't they?
yes, and it did. It was weird because when I got to that review, it was like I started picking up sales like over one night. I had got over 100 sales. So I guess people wanted to see what it was
Yeah,
one person didn't like, and the reviews started coming up, and I got way more positive reviews than the negative ones, and it was like, well, I had to learn that everybody is not gonna like your story, so you got
yeah,
to
that's
take
right. That's right.
constructive
Now that was a
criticism.
now Loving an Addict. That was a fiction book.
Yeah, well, no, Love in the Attic was it's fiction quote, but it's based on a true story. It's
True
based on
story.
real
Okay.
life, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because I was looking at it. I mean, wow, this said addiction, death, eviction, losing a child, losing a mother, losing a father, losing everything. Wow, I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
Could a
and
person?
honestly, those are all the things I went through. I lost my mom and my daughter was 8 months apart. Um,
Whoa,
and then another weird thing was the day that I lost my daughter, June 24th, 2010, I lost my father, June
whoa,
24th, 1995. So they both passed on the same exact date, June 24th. So I thought that was like
oh,
really weird. But I said, well, maybe that's
yeah,
God sending me a message telling me that, you know, my baby is with her grandparents.
that's right. Well, let me ask you this before we close this segment out. Now, if it wasn't for these experiences you're going through, what kind of person you think? Well, I'm talking about you didn't have, you never gave birth to the child. Your mom didn't pass away. Your dad didn't pass away. What kind of person you think you would be? You think you would have been involved with these groups? Would you be an advocate? What would you doing? In the clubs? Just
Nah, I
watch
definitely
TV.
wouldn't be in the class, but I think if I never had any kids or had any of them experiences, I think I would be a workaholic.
Oh, really? Just on your
Yeah,
regular job, just
yeah.
working?
I think I
So,
would have
oh,
pursued my dreams of, the things I wanted to do, like become a writer. I think I would have been a workaholic because that's where I was headed before I had children.
uh,
I was working two jobs. I was going to school, so I think I would have just been a workaholic.
yeah, I understand. I understand. Well, we appreciate you being on here. We're gonna have you on another segment. We're gonna talk about your fiance and how juggling the second career affects you guys. Is it positive or negative? So I want to thank you for being on this first segment with Positive Power 21. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
um, I thank you so much for having me. I really, really enjoyed talking about my books and talking about my experiences and everything.
That's right. And I hope we be able to help generate some more sales because we be launching this website fully off of our sister site, which is www the hyphen rock the hyphen newsmagazine.com, where you guys can Google the Rock News Magazine and find out about how we first got started in the publishing world. And Nicole's books can be found on Amazon. She said she got a Kindle, she got a paperback. Just Google her name and you'll see Poison come up. And you said Mother's Worst Nightmare come up, right?
Yes, yep,
Yes,
yep. All
that's
I'm
the
looking right at.
that's right. That's the good thing about Googling. You don't have to do a whole bunch of guessing, right?
Right.
Just put
Uh-huh.
just put Nicole Martin author, and you'll see a whole lot of stuff come out. Again, thank you, Nicole, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into our show. And keep Facebooking us and visiting us. This is Jerry Royce from PositivePower21.org. Thank you, and good night.
Positive Power 21.